We live in a day where there's so much separation. We can look around and see that even our neighbors, many of us don't even know their names. And our families is not much different. Many times we only see them once a year at a holiday, or maybe talk to them once or twice a year on the phone. But what we have to realize is, why is this? Why does this take place? Why does it happen? I think many times we think that we can do it on our own, but we have to ask ourselves the question, is this really the right way? Is this the way it should be? Stay tuned, we're going to look at this. In 2020, there was a study that said that in 2018, 54% of the polled population believed that they were just suffering from a state of loneliness. But what's interesting is when they did that same study 1 year later in 2019, that number went to 61%. That was a great difference in just 1 year. But it tells me this. It tells me that we live in a day that we suffer from loneliness. But the idea is not to be alone. We are not created to be alone. It's not something that we're geared for. I believe that when God created man from the very beginning in Genesis 2:18, he said, "And the Lord said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him helpmeet for him." Well, when I look at this, it tells me that whether we're a follower of Jesus Christ or not, it matters of who's in my life. Am I with people? Am I belonging to something? Is there something in my life that gives me a purpose? Because I believe that deep within each of us is a sense of wanting to belong to something, someone. And when we look at this and we look at it in the right way, we realize that we want to be part of something bigger than what we are. That's the bottom line. We want to have things come into our life that are real, things that we know there will be those that stand beside us and give us companionship. And within that companionship, it'll build a purpose. Something that is so great in our life is that we better put some great focus on it. We better take the time to really see what's going on. But I have to ask the question, why is it that so many times we are in a room full of people, and yet in the same way we feel so lonely? And I think it's for the fact that many times we set our mind on the physical. We look at the physical aspect of this thing and we leave one thing out. We leave something out that's part of the spiritual side of it. We have to remember that when we're created, we are a trichotomy being. We are body, soul, and spirit. And all three of them things must come together if we're going to come away from that place of loneliness to where we don't feel like it's me against the world. Because what we have to realize is the spirit side of us needs that companionship as well. That's where we come to Christ and we come to God and know that we are in His presence and we have that belonging. This tells us that we do need to have something more than just a physical belonging. We need to have that spiritual side being built in us as well. It's something that we must have if we're going to have a completeness, because that's what we all seek. We seek that completeness, that place where we can come out of that loneliness and know that no matter where I'm at, I am never alone, physically or spiritually. I believe Solomon laid this out well in the book of Ecclesiastes. In Ecclesiastes 4, he says this in verses 11 and 12. "Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him." Now that's the physical side of this thing. Now watch this next part of verse 12. "And a threefold cord is not quickly broken." So when we look at this, we have to realize that when we couple the physical and the spiritual together, it becomes complete. We become one, and it becomes something that when we look at the thing in our life, we know that we can have a purpose. We can have a basis to where I can draw from, that I don't face that loneliness and I don't suffer with that in my life. But it allows us to take part in something bigger than what we are. And I then can look at the situation and not focus on the situation, but then see how I can get out of that through those that are coming alongside me, whether it's in the physical or whether it's in the spiritual. I think marriage is a great example of this, and I use this scripture quite often when I do a marriage ceremony, because when we look at this, we're looking at, first of all, the twofold cord. We see that two people are coming together, a man and a woman are coming together to come into that place of marriage. Now, when they come to that, they've bodily said that they want each other. Marriage is a part of coming one. So that gives them the twofold cord. But when Solomon goes on to say a threefold cord, that's when that man and that woman decide to have a spiritual connection with God to mix within their marriage. So when they come together as one, God then forms that next wrap around them, which gives us a threefold cord. That means that in my belonging, I have a focus not only on the physical, but the spiritual, and then that makes me complete. It gives me strength in every area of my life so that I know then that I can never be alone. So what that tells me is that right relationship has to be built in our life. No matter who we are, we need that. No matter what our social standing or our position, we need that place of belonging, that right relationship. And I believe that this is where church becomes so vital. It becomes so important because this is where both sides of that relationship are being built. When I see this, it makes church important for the fact that I'm putting people around me that are having the same desires as myself. I want to have that belonging with other people of like faith that think and act like I do. Because of that, then I have a spiritual side that ties into that where the word is being taught in the church services, being taught when we commune with each other, standing on that word. Then I have totally become something bigger than myself. And through that, I have belonging, not only physically, but spiritually. This is true belonging. And this is something we all seek. We all seek to come away from that spirit of loneliness that plagues us so many times. But find that purpose. It's there. You just need to have it there and in the right place and circle yourself with that. So until the next time, stay in the Word.